You think about them constantly, not because the relationship was deeply fulfilling, but because it was confusing. They gave you glimpses of what it could be, moments of connection, flashes of warmth, enough to keep you hoping, but never enough to feel truly secure. You replay their messages, analyze their silences, try to decode what went wrong. Was it something you said? Something you didn't do? Something you didn't become in time? When we fall for someone who's avoidant or emotionally unavailable, we don't fall in love with who they consistently are. We fall in love with the potential, the version of them we glimpsed when their walls came down for a fleeting second. And we cling to that version like it's a promise. But it never was. When someone fears closeness, it doesn't matter how kind, supportive, or loving you are. Love to them doesn't feel safe. It feels threatening, too vulnerable, too exposed. So they pull away. They make jokes instead of sharing honestly. They avoid emotional depth. They talk about the future vaguely, if at all. They might even say they want a relationship, just not right now, not yet, not with pressure. And each time you lean in, they lean out. Each time you get close, they retreat. And so you start working harder. You text first more often. You become more accommodating. You start shrinking your needs to fit inside their comfort zone. But in doing so, you lose yourself. It's not that they don't care about you. It's that their way of relating is built on distance. They've learned that intimacy equals danger. Maybe from childhood, maybe from past heartbreaks. So even if they have feelings for you, they'll suppress them, they'll minimize, they'll rationalize. You might find yourself constantly in emotional limbo, never knowing where you stand, never feeling quite chosen, always almost loved. And here's the painful part. If you're someone who grew up having to earn love, through caretaking, pleasing, performing, this dynamic will feel familiar. It will feel like home, because it mirrors the emotional unavailability you once learned to navigate. You'll confuse inconsistency with depth, silence with mystery, coldness with emotional complexity. But this isn't love, it's survival. It's your inner child reaching for the parent who was never fully present, hoping that this time, finally, they'll stay. Finally, they'll choose you. Finally, you'll be enough. But love, true, nourishing, reciprocal love, doesn't leave you anxious at night. It doesn't make you feel like you're begging for scraps. It doesn't thrive in vagueness and ambiguity. It shows up. It makes you feel safe, not confused. Seen, not questioned. Yet we stay. We rationalize. We hope that maybe if we just love them better, they'll change. But loving someone harder doesn't make them more emotionally available. It just makes you more exhausted. And maybe you've tried to walk away before. Maybe you've told yourself you deserve better, but then they send a message, or like a photo, or show a bit of warmth again. And just like that, you're back in the cycle, back in the illusion. Because they always give you just enough to keep you there, just enough to stop you from truly letting go, not enough to build something real, but enough to keep you emotionally tethered, and you start thinking that the pain you're in is your fault, that if only you were different, less needy, more chill, more understanding, things would finally work. But you're not asking for too much. You're just asking the wrong person. Love is not meant to be a guessing game. You're not meant to be in a constant state of doubt. You're not meant to feel like your needs are a burden. The truth is, we've been conditioned to associate love with intensity, with drama, with adrenaline. We think the more we ache, the more real it is. But that's not love. That's emotional instability. Real love is steady. It's not a firework. It's a candle. Something that burns quietly but doesn't go out. It's the person who remembers the little things, who responds when they say they will, who is there, even when it's inconvenient. It's the kind of love that lets you exhale, instead of making you hold your breath. But if you've only ever known love that made you anxious, love that made you feel uncertain, love that made you prove yourself again and again, then stability can feel boring. You might meet someone emotionally available and feel nothing, no spark, no butterflies, because your nervous system doesn't know what safety feels like yet. And that's okay. That doesn't mean you're doomed. It means your work is not to chase butterflies, but to learn to sit still enough to feel your own grounding. Sometimes the grief that follows these relationships is overwhelming, and people around you don't understand. They say, "Why are you so heartbroken? You weren't even officially together," or "They clearly didn't care. Just move on." But they don't see what you're grieving. They don't understand the depth of the dream you are holding, the version of this relationship that lived in your mind, the version you fought for, the future you planned in silence. You're not just mourning a person, you're mourning a possibility. The hope that maybe this time someone would finally choose you the way you deserve to be chosen. And that loss is real, it's heavy, it's confusing, it makes you question everything. Your worth, your standards, your instincts. But the truth is, you were never broken for wanting love. You were never weak for hoping they'd show up. You were just trying to rewrite a story that began long before them, and now you get to write a new one. You don't have to stay loyal to someone's potential. You don't have to keep shrinking yourself to be tolerated. You don't have to fix someone who doesn't want to grow. It was never your job to rescue them, to teach them how to love, to prove that love can be safe. That's not your role. That's their work. And if they're not ready to do that work, you walking away isn't failure. It's self-respect. Yes, you can love someone deeply and still leave. Yes, you can grieve them and still choose yourself. Yes, it can hurt like hell, and still be the most loving decision you've ever made for your future self. Because choosing peace over potential isn't giving up. It's growing up. So often we think love should be dramatic, painful, hard-won. But real love doesn't ask you to suffer as proof of devotion. Real love doesn't make you feel small. It doesn't ignore your messages. It doesn't punish you for caring. It doesn't leave you feeling invisible, or like you're always one mistake away from being abandoned. Real love is showing up, even on the hard days, especially on the hard days. It's choosing honesty over comfort. It's being willing to say, "I'm afraid too, but I'm here." It's someone who wants to understand you, not control you. Someone who invites your truth, not your performance. You don't have to perform to be loved. You don't have to be perfect to be worthy. You don't have to be in pain to feel alive. And maybe right now, you're not there yet. Maybe you're still in the ache, still checking your phone, still remembering the good moments and wondering if you gave up too soon. That's okay. Healing isn't linear. It's not clean. It doesn't come in one epiphany. It's a slow unwinding, a quiet returning, a remembering of who you were before you made yourself small for someone else's comfort. You're not broken. You're awakening. You're beginning to question the patterns, to see the difference between love and longing, to understand that intensity is not intimacy. You're starting to reclaim your standards, to stop asking, am I good enough for them? And start asking, are they healthy enough for me? That shift, that change in perspective, is everything. Because love isn't just about connection, it's about compatibility, emotional safety, mutual effort, respect. And sometimes the bravest thing you'll ever do is walk away from someone you still love, because you finally love yourself more. That doesn't mean you're cold. That doesn't mean you're heartless. It means you're healing. And healing means choosing peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, wholeness over hope that breaks you. You're allowed to want more. You're allowed to say no to almost love. You're allowed to hold out for the kind of connection that doesn't leave you questioning your worth. And you will get there. Not overnight, not all at once, but step by step. Every time you choose yourself, every time you set a boundary, every time you say, I deserve better, that's healing, that's love, that's the path forward. And I promise, you are already on it. If this message found you at the right time, I hope it offered clarity, softness, or even just a breath of relief. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Let's build a space where real conversations about love can exist without shame or confusion. Subscribe for more grounded reflections like this. This is The Rational Path, where heartbreak becomes wisdom, and your story starts again, calmer, deeper, and more true.